Howdy, hello, my name is Doe, hope we're doing good, and I saw that Macro made a tier list for Apex weapons in Season 11, and I wanted to make my own. Now, the only tier that's going to be the same as his is going to be F tier. I also have the P2020 here, but that's not really a shocker. The weapon just doesn't do enough damage, and it's not really that great to use. You're almost better off using your fists and throwing hands instead of throwing these little pellets at people. To make this better, all you have to do is increase the fire rate or add hop-ups. Give it dual wield, which would be cracked and super fun to use, or bring back the tried and true hammer points. You could maybe nerf it, but I don't think the P2020 needs a nerf to that. Now moving on, we have D tier. At the bottom we have the EVA 8. It used to be a menace to society. I'm telling you this much. It was the best gun in the game for the most part, and it was a close range weapon. That makes no sense. But now it's not, and I'm super thankful. The weapon does not do a whole lot of damage up close. It's not that consistent, and there's many other shotguns that are higher tiered. If not, every shotgun's higher tiered, but the EVA does not require a buff because it should not be a good shotgun. It should be a usable weapon, which is what it is in D tier, but it should not be powerful. Up next, we have the RE45, which could be cracked if it had more ammo per magazine, but it don't, so it's not. It does not have enough bullets in the mag to do enough damage to most players, and if you miss many bullets at all, you're gonna get rolled. Although the recoil is very easy to control and the hip fire is cracked. You could bring back disruptor rounds, although if you did, you'd have to nerf it a little bit. Top of D tier, we have the L star, which could be placed higher, but I don't like using it, so it's kind of a personal preference thing for me. Now the L star used to be insane like the EVA 8, but is no longer that cracked. Kind of looking for any upgrade inside of the L star. Maybe from the roller, you might like it. My friend Ganji likes it on controller, but I don't. So moving on to C tier, we have the Mozambique, which I think is better than the EVA 8. It's like Chris Kyle's shotgun. You can cross map kids with the Mozambique. That's wild to me. It's got so much range and really good spread for a shotgun. Some shotguns do not have the best of spread. You'll hit for like 9. Mozambique does not really hit for 9. It hits for like 20 at the minimum for the most part, or you just missed. So you have that going for you. If it had 2 more shots in a magazine, having 8, it would be a absolute goat. Or you could just give it dual wield like the P2020 and or bring back hammer points from Mozambique as well, but for Mozam's case, it did like 100 damage plus to body with hammer points, so you had to nerf it a little bit. At the top of C tier, we have the R99, the OG SMG, a decent weapon overall, doesn't have the craziest long range, which is important right now, and the damage output is just lacking in comparison to other guns. DPS is nuts, but the overall damage output is not that nuts in the current meta. Moving on to B tier, we have the bottom, which is the Prowler, which is actually A tier on controller, but on M&K it's B tier in my eyes. Now the Prowler is a very slept on weapon. It does cracked DPS. Damage per mag isn't super high, but the DPS is very high. Now if you have no mag at all for the Prowler, it's kind of rough, and if you do not land every single shot, it's going to be bad news bears, but if you do land most of your shots, you're going to be absolutely destroying gamers. Now the Prowler's downsides are it lacks long and medium range, which is an SMG, so it shouldn't have long range to begin with, but its medium range is definitely lacking. Its close range is cracked. Its hip fire is some of the best in the game. Now, as far as buffs go, maybe give it 5 more shots in a magazine at purple, which could be cracked. Give it like 25 bullets at starting and up to 40 at purple. That is how you make this weapon a menace to society. It'll become S tier at that point. Moving onward from this close range SMG, will have a long range marksman weapon, the 30-30 repeater, which is very versatile. It's a heavy gun, so you'll find heavy ammo across the map on the death boxes everywhere, because heavy is the current meta, it feels like. You also have the ability to slap in shatter caps, making it a pseudo shotgun, which is debatably better than the EVA 8 because you get 12 shots at purple mag, and you can also carry a gold mag, meaning it reloads itself while stowed. You also have the ability to use dual shell, making it reload 2 bullets instead of 1 at a time, which is decent, although I would just run shatter caps instead personally. Slightly above this weapon, we have the Sentinel, mostly due to personal preference. I like the Sentinel, and it would be higher on the list itself, but it is severely lacking in the things that make it unique, and that is the charging department. The Sentinel can no longer use gold armor and 1 shield cell to charge, and that's a big deal because using 2 shield cells for every single charge means you're draining resources very quickly, and another factor making the charge worse is it takes longer than it did before. It takes like 7 to 8 seconds, and it used to take 5. So now you're just kind of running around doing whatever, charging the Sentinel for longer. Because of these drawbacks, I'll place the Bowsec bow above the Sentinel, and the Bowsec can carry 32 arrows per stack, which is 8 more than the Sentinel can carry for sniper, and the only downside with the bow is the fact that you can't really find arrows on people for the most part because they don't really use bow, but you can craft a single stack of arrows for only 10 crafting material at the crafters now. But the bow is practically hit scan. You can use deadass tempo. It's got good hip fire too up close, so if it has to come down to it and you're just pulling a Legolas up close, you will body some gamers if you're just decent with the hip fire. Now above the bow, we have the Car SMG. It's the top of B tier, and this is just for all intents and purposes a better R99 because it has more damage magazine. I don't know if the DPS is higher, but even if it's it's not, it doesn't matter. Having more damage capacity in a magazine is massive in Apex. They have equivalent hipfire, they have equivalent recoil control required, and the car can use both light and heavy attachments, making it just more versatile in general, as well as light and heavy ammo. Moving on to A tier, we have the bottom, which is going to be the Volt SMG, the best SMG in the video juego. If you're on controller, you better be using it, better practice with it, because this is the controller gun for sure. It practically has no recoil, just pull down and you're set. You're off to the races. There's not much to say for this weapon. It's in a great spot at the moment. No changes required IMO. And above the Volt, we have the Rampage, which is boring AF. Remove this gun from the game. Vault it, break it again, and remove it. It does not belong. It's boring to play against, boring to play with. It does 26 damage per body shot instead of 25. It can break doors with thermite. It has 40 bullets per mag at purple. What the heck is that, man? And before I do therapy, I'm moving on. We have the PK and the Mastiff, which are pretty much interchangeable for different reasons. The PK does more damage, but the reload takes longer. You have to cock between shots. The Mastiff has a faster fire rate, but does less damage. And you also have a hop-up called Dual Shell, letting you reload 2 shells per 1 reload animation, basically. Slightly above these shotties, we have the Hemlock, which is a underrated gun. It does cracked damage per magazine. You can have boosted loader, giving it up to 36 rounds on purple. So it's a good weapon. Definitely try it out. It does like 35 damage to no helmet and 20 damage to the body, so the damage output is stacked. Next, we have the highest rated respectable sniper. It's important words, keep those in mind. The longbow is higher than the Sentinel because you get 12 shots per magazine and you have a faster fire rate. Now above the longbow, we have the Wingman, which is cracked if you can hit your shots. I'm not that consistent, so it's actually B tier for me, but overall it's A tier IMO. Next, we have the top of A tier, which is the R301, the jack of all trades and master of recoil. This weapon is super easy to control and it does decent damage, has a decent clip size. Overall, a very well-rounded weapon that players should be using more often. We have now made it to S tier. At the bottom, the charge rifle. It should not be in the game. I'm not sure why it is. It makes me very sad. This weapon is basically a hit scan. It's got no kick when you're shooting it. It's a giant beam rifle basically, and you stop a 4x10 and you now become Charge Rifle Charlie. And if you need to upgrade your Evo shields, just use a charge rifle and you're set. Moving past that trauma, we have the Havoc with turbo. With turbo, the Havoc is S tier. Without turbo, it's like A tier. Off drop though, the Havoc's like freaking S++ tier. This gun's disgusting off drop. With a purple mag, you get 36 bullets. So I don't really think it needs a nerf because it needs to have turbo to be really good. Like it's usable without it, but with it, it's just a different gun, dude. And above the Havoc, we have the Devotion, also with turbo, S tier. Without turbo, it's like B tier. It takes a lot longer to charge up than the Havoc does. Oh my god, it's so broken. Now past the Devotion, we have the Triple Take, which was removed from the care package, placed on groundlet with a very slight nerf, and it is still very annoying to play against. It does 69 damage per shot, nice by the way, and the Sentinel does 70, but the T-Take can fire so much faster. The T-Take is a better shotgun close range. It's insane medium range, cracked long range. The only downside for T-Take is you can't slap a sniper scope. If you could, it would basically be the best gun in the entire game, but you can't, thank the Lord. And I think it does need a nerf, but only to its fire rate or its magazine size, one of the two. I think fire rate's the biggest thing though, like nerf how fast it can fire, and the T-Take is more balanced. Now we have the tippity top of S tier, the Flat Line, a weapon that has been slept on for a while. Like some players knew it was cracked, but I think this season players are realizing it's actually one of the best guns in the entire game, especially with the Rampage Vault that happened because it was broken. Once that happened, the Flatline just had an insane pick rate. The hip fire, disgusting. The damage per shot, disgusting. Having 30 bullets per magazine, disgusting. And the recoil isn't that hard to control on M&K. On controller, a bit more questionable, but if you get in the range, bruh, who needs recoil? A nerf to this gun, I think, would either be a slight nerf to damage and or a nerf to the magazine capacity. Maybe go from like 30 to 27, 26, but I'm not sure. Maybe it doesn't need a nerf. Now that is the tier list for ground loot. Now for package, it goes like this. Kraber, Spitfire, Alternator, Scout. There's no debating it. That is objective fact. But for my tier list, let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Let me know whose list is better, mine or macros. And have a good day. Appreciate y'all for watching. Catch you later. Peace.